I'm sure you've all seen the amazing GPL hype video, and if that didn't get you excited for the GPL, remember, that's just for the Singapore and Malaysian teams. There's more to come. Welcome to GPL Breakdown, a weekly series focused on summarizing the week's events in the GPL. My name is Rex, and this week I'll be going over everything that's happened throughout the long off-season. There's a lot to go over. Hopefully, you may remember parts of the GPL from last year. In the end, there were two teams who qualified for Worlds, Taipei Assassins and AHQ eSports Club, TPA being undisputed GPL champion, and AHQ a rightful runner-up. At Worlds, TPA were extremely disappointing in a relatively easy group that had no Koreans. AHQ, on the other hand, provided hope for the home fans with some magic from West Door and green tea. These two carried the hopes of an entire region on their backs as they took down Edward Gaming in their second meeting. Although they failed to make it out of group stages, they were still able to restore a little bit of the dignity the Southeast Asian scene lost from TPA's poor performances. So if you're wondering, where to now, I've got you covered. For the next 5 minutes, I'll be going over everything you need to know for the 2015 GPL spring season. The first thing I can tell you is to forget everything you think you know about the GPL. It's a whole new ballgame. There's no TPA, no AHQ, no Taiwanese teams at all. Yet the GPL is still expanding to 16 slots with teams from Vietnam, Singapore, Malaysia, the Philippines, Thailand, and a new slot to Indonesia. This GPL season also brings forth an exciting new format that ultimately results in more entertaining games for the viewers. Bear with me as I try to explain the format with the help of my incredibly unincredible diagram. Each box represents one group, while each smaller rectangle is a team. In the first round, 16 teams play in 4 groups, with the top 2 from each group advancing to the second round. In the second round, the 8 teams play in 2 groups again, with the top 2 advancing. That leaves 4 teams who play in a semifinal bracket with the winners facing off in the grand final. For the rest of this video, I'll be going over each of the 4 initial groups and giving a short recap of all 16 teams, so even the most inexperienced viewer can have a rough idea of what's going on. First, Group A. Bangkok Titans head up this group. The Titans are veterans from Thailand who have always had a hard time in the GPL, but might finally find their footing after the departure of the Taiwanese teams. GameX War Gods are also GPL veterans from summer, finishing first in the Pro Gaming Series of the Philippines. They may struggle in the big leagues, but they have the potential to make a push at the top 8. Asus Fate qualified through the Vietnam qualifiers, looking strong with a win over Vietnamese juggernaut Saigon Jokers. Clearly a team to be feared, Asus Fate goes into this season considered as one of the top teams. War Gods PID Diamond round out Group A, also from the Philippines. Diamond are expected to struggle this season, even struggling to make the event, requiring sponsorship grants at the last minute. Group B sees Saigon Fantastic 5 go in as clear favorites, not only for the group, but for the entire competition. Closely missing out on Worlds qualification, SF5 showed they were still just as strong as they rolled through the Vietnamese qualifiers undefeated, despite huge roster changes throughout the entire Vietnamese scene. Ultimate also qualified through the Vietnamese qualifiers, but didn't look too convincing. They were able to barely qualify after having to fight from the lower bracket stage. Fan favorite Mineski rejoins the GPL this year. Remembered by many for their appearance at Worlds 15 months ago, Mineski are a very different team from back then, and are currently struggling even in the lower Filipino league. They may have difficulties in this season of GPL. Thai Team Infinite are also an ex-GPL team from winter last season, where they failed to make it out of group stages. With the new inexperienced roster, it's hard to see Team Infinite going far. Saigon Jokers head up Group C, a veteran team dating back to the Season 2 World Championship. They've always looked strong, but rarely make a push for top 2. They are another team that benefits from the lack of Taiwanese teams, and could easily sneak into the top 4. Full Lewis makes Group C look even tougher, with 2 of the strongest Vietnamese teams in one group. Full Lewis consistently sat at the bottom of the GPL before a surge near the end of GPL summer. Unfortunately, a rule breach left them disqualified and without any prize money last year. Singaporean team Fat Rabbit are a strong team in the Singapore-Malaysia region. Finishing first in the Singapore group and second overall in the Legends Circuit, the Singapore-Malaysian local league, they now get their chance in the big leagues. New kids on the block, Jakarta Juggernauts, fly in from Indonesia. Not a region you think of when you think strong League of Legends scenes. A clear underdog, they bring good expansion to the League of Legends scene, but will likely struggle in their debut season. Finally, Group D features 3 Singapore-Malaysian teams. Yes, the groups were randomly drawn. First is Insidious Gaming Legends. The strongest team from their region, they had a good showing in GPL Summer last season after also taking out the Legends Circuit Finals. They're joined by the Kuala Lumpur Hunters from Malaysia, another veteran team dating back to 2012. Forever a lower tier team in Southeast Asia, they won't have an easy time making it out of group stages. Team K Thanks Bye, formerly of the Insidious Gaming Organization, bring another cool name to the GPL from Singapore, Malaysia. They finished 4th in the Legends Circuit and will have to improve to make it to the top of GPL. Finally, 269 Gaming from Vietnam round out Group D. Their play has been mediocre in the Vietnamese scene, but they step it up in big games and will be difficult to beat in this group. So, that's all the teams. Who are you cheering for? Leave your answer in the comments below. If you're wondering where and when you can watch these awesome games, I've got good news for you. The GPL spring season starts this Wednesday at 3 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, midday Central European Time, and 10 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time, if you're an Aussie. Be sure to tune in at twitch.tv/Garena eSports. If you would like additional information, it can all be found at gpl.garena.com. Stay tuned for my breakdown of the first week's events, and subscribe to see more videos like this when the LCS gets going. Remember to like the video if you enjoyed it. See you next week.